Hello and welcome to JC Whitney's On the Road. My name is Angel Salabalen. I'm your host, and today we are joined by Tony Colombini. How you doing, Tony?
Good, Angel. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
Great to see you.
I got you on here as the founder of Blacktop Media and Blacktop Magazine.
Yep.
Yes, sir. All right. How'd you get into all of that?
Well, it's really more of a passion. You know, it's like I was doing graphic design for a whole bunch of different companies back in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I had a business coach who said, you know, you should really focus on something you're passionate about. I said, well, I'm passionate about the automotive industry. So I just devoted everything, all my resources up to do work for the automotive industry. And thinking of a name, how to rebrand my studio and all, and I just thought, well, we do everything on the blacktop, so let's call it Blacktop.
So in my mind, when I saw it, Blacktop was like synonymous with, hey, bringing this stuff that you may not know about in this culture, and I'm bringing it to the top.
Right.
Where you highlight a lot of custom car culture, custom motorcycle culture. We're talking tattoo shops. Am I missing anything? Who else is in there?
Well, and also just a lot of the culture. So there's those custom culture artists and pinup models and that whole scene. Cars, bikes, everything. People liked the magazine because it had a little bit of everything in it, you know, like that. So if it was on the dirt, it didn't belong on the blacktop. It didn't go in blacktop.
That's it. I'm with it. Your network highlights on manufacturers, builders, restorers, some lowbrow culture, some tattoo shops. We briefly just talked about classic cars, motorcycles, that custom culture, hot rods. And you've got 25 years of design and marketing experience. You've taught design, and you've brought all of that to your online publication. What do you look for when you're out and about and you find something to put on your publication?
Well, that's a great question, Angel. What I look for most is that story, you know, that unique story, because we all have stories to tell. And I think about the people who come in, or I see at car shows and so forth, I ask them about their vehicle, and then they usually get into a little bit of a story about their family, or it's been with their dad or grandpa and then they got it now. So I'm always looking for a unique story to find and to highlight.
Nice.
If it's a person, a company, or a car.
In today's day and age, we talk about NPCs, non-player characters.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so, like, the thing about walking through the world, right? You don't want to be an NPC. You don't want to be a non-player character. You know, you want to be active. You want to go out there. You want to do something. You want to, you know, play in the game that we call life.
Right.
You know, and I feel like your online publication, you know, allows people to see, hey man, maybe this isn't what everybody else is doing, this isn't what the Jones are doing, but it's still pretty cool, and there is a culture behind it, and it is welcoming if you want to jump in. And so that's what in my opinion, what I got from Blacktop Magazine. It was kind of like a peeking glass into a world that I hadn't gone into. So
right. Well, we have to differentiate ourselves always, right?
Yeah.
And so what I like to find is those subcultures, you know. So yeah, the automotive industry is huge, and I've seen other episodes of this where you're talking about people who are with big publications or whatnot and the general automotive aesthetic. But I like to dig down into the custom culture, hot rods, the guys that are riding their bikes across the country, or chopping up their bikes, doing something different with it, and the artists that just struggle every day to live their passion, creating these really incredible pieces of work, but they're not considered high art that would go in a museum. And so it's fun to share those stories, and people seem to dig it.
Oh yeah, I dig it. It's super cool.
Yeah,
it is super cool. I work for a guy named Jimmy, and he, from a long time ago, old school guy, he moved to California from Virginia, where I'm from. But he stole a motorcycle and he stole gas the whole entire way across the country, you know?
Great.
Jimmy was one of those guys. He's a really cool guy, really, a really great guy. But, having
and a thief.
And a thief, yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, that story was all right. And, and for me, that story was it didn't define him, because I knew he was a good guy, but it was like, hey, man, you're living life, you're out here. I'm sure nobody got hurt, you're okay.
Yeah, ever since when I was young in my 20s in the 1980s, I'd meet these people in the restaurant industry, and people who walked across Canada. I remember meeting this guy one time and just hearing that story, and then that kind of inspired me and my friend to say, hey, let's get together and buy a couple of ultralights and fly across the United States. And we never did, because you got to have money to do that.
Yeah, right.
But just that it inspires you. These stories inspire you. So I want to do that. I want to inspire people, especially younger people, in this automotive industry.
Inspiration is so valuable. I mean, how sad would things be without inspiration? Yeah,
We'd be dead.
yeah, it would be pointless, in my opinion.
Yeah, we do a series called Kid Wrencher, where we bring those stories about people who bring their kids, their grandkids, or whatnot, or nieces and nephews into the garage with them, or take them to car shows, that sort of thing. Because it just shows that we got to celebrate that.
Yeah, you have to. Family, friends, community. We're all here sharing this space together, man.
That's right.
That's it. Do you have any stories that you've covered that stand out to you the most, and why?
It's interesting because I've covered stories with celebrities in this industry, and they get a lot of attention, but it's more the stories that I like that are, the regular guy, that's doing something different, building a car, going through those struggles and that sort of thing. I think what I need to do next is bring some of my own stories from my past that inspired me into the magazine. So that's probably more of a next realm going on. I think about my uncle, who's only 10 years older than I am. And when I was 7 years old, he painted a 64 GTO competition orange with black lace stripes in our garage. And we weren't car people. My dad had a 4-car garage. He wasn't a car guy. But we had the space, and my uncle Doug said, hey, can I paint my car in here? And when I saw him doing that, especially with the lace, I was like, wow, that's cool. That's something different. And so, that inspired me to get always, and I had 2 older brothers too, so we're always into cars in the 60s and 70s and that sort of thing. So yeah. Other stories that inspire me are these guys that have their car they've had since high school. Just recently I did a story of a guy who had a 67 Camaro he had since high school. And it's just beautiful. You see it come down the street, you go, wow, that really sits nice stance to it and everything. And then I go to talk to him, and he's telling me this story. It's like, you would have never known.
If you wouldn't have gone up to him, talked to him, appreciated what this,
It's just another Camaro.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you would have just been like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening a lot more of now. I feel like the personalization of cars, right? That history of cars, the way people just, look, if you're going to drive your car fast, drive it fast with some purpose. Don't just dog it around.
Right.
Come on, drive it fast with a little bit of purpose. And I feel like people have lost that connection to cars in that sense, right? It's more of just like a means to get somewhere instead of...
That's the challenge today, is that people think of their car as just a utilitarian tool. It's not necessarily an expression of self-expression of you, who you are. So personalization is always important.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to cover, is how they make that different.
I can see that. I can see that. And I can appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next for Blacktop Media, for Tony Colombini? What's next for you, sir?
Well, we were printing a quarterly issue of Blacktop Magazine until 2022. And at the end of 2022, I realized, people aren't picking up. They love it. They think it looks beautiful and all that. But then, to pay $10 or what, I don't know. It's just hard for them. So I decided to go to quit the printing end of it. And I was at the time doing also a monthly newsletter, email newsletter. And I thought, well, if I'm not doing that, let's bump this up to weekly. So now we're doing a weekly email newsletter. And since I did that, the website traffic has tripled.
Nice.
On the site. So I can see now with that much traffic what people are interested in.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, we started this thing called Motor Minute. And it's really, I go to a car show, I see a car like that 67 Camaro.
Yeah.
I'll just have my iPhone. I used to bring all these cameras and stuff with me to the show. Now my iPhone, I take pictures and video, walk around the car. They speak into the voice recorder on there, and then I edit it all up. And in a minute, you get to hear this quick story about a guy's car. And those have been a huge hit.
Yeah, I actually crossed over a couple of those, and a couple of gentlemen were just talking about their cars, and I was like, yeah, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
What I got from that experience was like, oh, okay, Tony's putting me into Tony's vision, Tony's perspective, and I'm experiencing this story of the car with Tony almost like in real life.
Right.
That idea is great, and if you can incorporate some kind of like VR, right? Like it may even be weird, but VR or AR, augmented reality, and record in augmented reality.
Interesting.
And then you can provide this augmented reality experience to people where like, okay, yeah, I may not have been able to show up to Southern California for that car show with all those sick whips out there, but Tony gave me an AR experience and I got to hear the guy's story firsthand, you know?
I like that idea because I'm not one to shy away from technology or doing something different. I mean, I created my first website in '96, and that was really early in the web, and that was called carshows.com, car-shows.com. And I remember that first week that I put that out there, I got a call from somebody in Wisconsin, and I go, well, how'd you hear about my website? I mean, I was doing a listing of car shows across the country. And he's, I was at this car show, and they made an announcement about it. I was like, oh my goodness, you know, that was nuts. And ever since then, I thought, well, this is something else. The web is up there, you know. And again, this is like, what, 28 years ago now? And I remember going to car shows and saying, hey, I've got this website going, and talking to the vendors that are at the car show, asking them, hey, do you want to be a part of this? Or put a little ad space on it. Oh, we're not interested in the web. That's what a lot of them said. You know, a bunch of older guys, you know, at the car shows, oh, we're not interested in the web. That's just a fad, you know. And I'm like, okay, you know. And then, and so even today, you know, I talk to people and they about cars, or you know, earlier you had somebody on talking about electric cars, electric vehicles, and in my world, the hot rod, custom chopper world, electric is like the bane of existence. It is the thing everybody just hates. It's the devil coming in. But I see it as, I don't know, I've got loud pipes on my truck and on my 56 Fairlane. I like the sound, I like the smell, but there's something to be said about that stealth quality and that instant torque. So I immediately ask them, the guys who don't like electric, well, okay, what is it you like about your car? And a lot of times it's that your seat in the back as you hit the gas, right? Yeah. Well, that's what these will do.
Right.
You know, so anyway, I always like to look at the future too.
Yeah, I mean, we had a guest on here recently. They were talking about EV hot rodding, and I was like, what is EV hot rodding?
Right.
Explain it to me, please.
Right.
And it was a combination of things that regular hot rodding is all about. And I gathered from him that the connection between electric hot rodding and regular hot rodding isn't that different. I mean, once you bridge the understanding between the hot rodding, I think more hot rodders will emerge in the electric EV realm within America.
I think so too. I think that people get over that whole initial shock of it, right? Yeah. But it's really about personalization. Hot rodding has always been about personalization.
Yep.
Sure, it's about the either the aesthetics or the go fast feature.
That's it.
You know, the performance or the aesthetics. So I can see that happening.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see that happening for sure. So if the audience wants to stay in touch with Blacktop and what you guys are doing at Blacktop, or if they want to reach out to you, Tony, where can they get any of this information from?
BlacktopMagazine.com.
Blacktop
That's
Magazine.
really the place. You go to our socials from there.
Okay.
And then if there's somebody out there that needs help with a web design or graphic design of some sort, I call myself a fixer in that because I get calls all the time. Hey, can you fix this? And so I help them out with that. But you can find my Blacktop Media Network there too.
All right.
So this is our last issue we did in December of 2022. And I got to say, something we haven't mentioned yet either is that my son is a big part of what I do with this.
Yeah.
My son Billy, he was paralyzed when he was 18 from the waist down, had a truck accident. And he's just been a lot of fun to work with. And so he's kind of like my editor that says, oh, this is cool, this isn't cool, you know. So like here's a story about this Boss Mustang and all that. A friend of mine out of North Carolina, Mike Slade, sent me. So we get content from all around, not just California here.
Yeah, that's my neck of the woods, man. North Carolina.
You'll see pinup models in there. I work a lot with Mitzi Valenzuela, a pinup photographer, and others.
Check out this beautiful Mustang right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, Yeah, there you go. Cover up your face, Angel.
Oh yeah, beautiful magazine.
But yeah, so it was all
Good quality.
self-published, 40 pages, and we did, all kinds of articles too, not just that, and then, more pinup model stuff like on the centerfold always. And then I always like history articles too. So I remember seeing an article about Raymond Loewy, and just an incredible designer, American designer, and who designed a lot of stuff for Studebaker, the Exxon logo, Hoover logo, Nabisco logo, all this stuff. He had a great studio. So I like to throw in some history articles as well.
Yeah.
And here's a nice little hot rod truck my friend Shiny Mike put together. So, it's a lot of fun. Then we go to events like Born Free is coming up. It's a motorcycle show. And so it was just a really fun feature of another photographer,
Buick's,
Pat
Cadillac.
Nicole.
Yeah.
And she's just got a beautiful eye for stuff. And then, and speaking about my son, Billy, we were featured on Garage Dreams once. So that's a little shot there. That was a Motor Trend show based out of Australia, and just a really cool show, and that's us in our garage.
No, super slick, man.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Beautiful magazine.
Yeah, so now you can see all that content online at blacktopmagazine.com.
Blacktopmagazine.com. Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.